events unfurling an ocean away threatened to plunge France and the rest of the world into chaos. The French Revolution, now 4 years old, had taken a more violent turn with the execution of King Louis XVI. When the radical uprising was originally launched back in 1789 with the storming of the Bastille, many of America's political leaders viewed it as a heroic struggle against an oppressive monarchy.
This ball of liberty, I believe most piously, is now so well in motion that it will roll around the globe.
Jefferson thought the French Revolution was the American Revolution in Europe. Washington never thought that. Washington thought the French Revolution was a fundamentally different kettle of fish, and that therefore there was no vital American interest in Europe, ideological or economic.
Like Washington, Vice President John Adams looked upon the French Revolution with a wary eye and cast a dire prediction for the events playing out in France.
Dragon's teeth have been sown in France and will come up monsters.
A month after Louis XVI was beheaded, the crisis escalated further when the French declared war on England.
The war between France and England causes great debate within the United States at first. We feel very closely allied with the French. They had, of course, helped us in our revolution, and it is a republic. At the same time, there are others who are far more inclined to favor the cause of England. Hamilton, for example. We are closely aligned to England because of trade and culture, language, customs, tradition.
Thomas Jefferson and James Madison urged the president to honor the United States' 1778 treaty with France and implement a boycott of British goods. Meanwhile, Alexander Hamilton, citing the fact that trade with England generated nearly 70% of America's customs duties, argued for a policy of strict neutrality.
A dispassionate and virtuous citizen of the United States will regard his own country as a wife, to whom he is bound to be exclusively faithful and affectionate. And he will watch with a jealous attention every propensity of the heart to wander toward a foreign country.
Hamilton's arguments in favor of neutrality only exacerbated Thomas Jefferson's fears. In an effort to stem the growing tide of public support, Jefferson urged James Madison to attack Hamilton in the press.
Nobody answers him, and his doctrines will therefore be taken for confessed. For God's sake, my dear sir, take up your pen. Select the most striking heresies and cut him to pieces in the face of the public.
It's an incredibly savage statement. It really also shows the sort of underlying flame beneath Jefferson's civil, sort of detached demeanor. But if Madison was successful in stepping forward and smashing at Hamilton, in a sense that's just what he would be doing. He would literally be cutting him to pieces.
Madison reluctantly took up the pen against his former friend, but in the end it did little good. The ultimate decision rested with the president. Relying upon his vast experience fighting both the French and English, George Washington decided his country's interests were best served by a proclamation of neutrality.
Washington knew that the United States was small, that it was weak, also that the superpowers of the world, England, France, they were much bigger. We'd be like a chip in a whirlpool. We'd get smashed or sunk if we got involved in their conflicts. His notion was that if we had a 20-year breather, then we might be able to play on the world stage. Then maybe we could play with the big boys, but we certainly weren't capable of it now.
Public outcry against the decision was overwhelming. How could the United States turn its back on France?